I would say the biggest Power BI growing pain I had when I first started out was understanding the difference between fact and dimension tables and kind of how to structure your data model. Obviously, a Power BI report is only as good as its data model. So when you have data coming from a lot of different sources and you have dimensions mixed in with facts, it can be really confusing to figure out what the best way is to split that up. So I would say that was probably the biggest growing pain I had. It's kind of a difficult concept to understand as a beginner.
So one Power BI growing pain I experienced was the difference between a measure and a calculated column. I always wanted to make calculated columns because you can see them right away and they're a bit more like Excel formulas than a measure, but really measures are the way to go most of the time in Power BI.
The biggest Power BI growing pain that I experienced way back in 2017 when I first started in Power BI was actually learning the business and then determining how to visualize that data inside of Power BI. It was still a new tool since it came out in 2015, so companies weren't sure how to use it. We had a few requests come in to build sales reports, executive dashboards, but we wanted to find out how to visualize that data so we get our KPIs and our point across without it being overcomplicated.
If I could go back in time, I would tell myself to really pay attention to your data model. Because I know a few times I didn't set up a data model properly and you end up getting maybe the same result just repeated over and over again in a table when you expected to see the measures broken out, properly. So that's what I would do. I would say, go back and look at the relationships. That's usually where that problem is caused.
If I could go back in time to that 2017 me, I would tell him to think more about the data sources that we're using, start learning some of the tools that we might use like SQL and some of those other languages that really make the process easier. Because at the time I was really focused on Power BI and how you get data into it and transform it within the tool. But over time I've learned that a lot of those changes can happen upstream in the source. So I would have told myself to spend a little more time learning the upstream side. At the time, I was very focused on just the tool itself, and I think it set me back in my overall journey.
I probably would have told myself that Power BI exists. So the way I kind of figured out about Power BI is I was trying to make a personal budget planner, and given my personality, I kind of took it too far. It started as a simple project. I got super complex at the end of it, and I had this horrible idea that we couldn't use Excel anymore, so we should use VBA instead and create this modeling structure using arrays and compression. And I was like, this is going to take forever. And thankfully, I decided to just do the thing I should have done 6 months earlier and just Googled if a structure for this had already been done before. That's kind of how I found Power BI, and then all of a sudden, all of these things that were going to take months at a time, I was able to accomplish in a couple of weeks, which was awesome.
If you're just starting out with Power BI, don't focus so much on the visuals or the design of the report. Those things will come naturally. They might already be part of your organization. There might be someone who has some sort of template that you can just use and copy. Obviously, if you're creative type, feel free to go for it. But what I really would stress you to focus on is the numbers and the logic behind your report. Because you could show something that's really beautiful, well-crafted, to your management team, and when they notice one of your numbers doesn't line up with one of their numbers, you pretty much throw your credibility out the window. So my advice would be worry about the numbers first, and then you can get creative second.
I think if you get too overwhelmed, you might not want to pick up the technology. Power BI is awesome because it can cater to pretty much any level of expertise. There's a lot of graphical user interfaces that allow you to do the simple things really quickly. And maybe just start out with a personal project. Maybe you have some finances that you wanted to organize a little better, and go ahead and build something out real quick, see how it works, and then go from there if you need new features.
The internet and Google is your best friend. There's plenty of resources out there for anyone to become a pro at Power BI. I am completely self-taught when it comes to Power BI, and I learned almost everything I know from Google or YouTube. Power BI forums online, even DAX books. It does take a lot of time though, so having a training as an option and having pros tell you how to use Power BI and tell you all the possible issues you can run into and explain the more difficult concepts to you, that would have been very helpful for me and would have saved me a lot of pain along the way.
So if you're looking for a Power BI training course to take your Power BI skills to the next level, Collectiv offers Power BI training, and I am one of the instructors. We offer a few different options so we can find something to meet your schedule, and we would love to see you in class.